Hello, everyone. Welcome in. I see some people are still connecting to their audio. Oh, I see my grandparents are here. Very sweet. So if you're cooking along tonight, I'm going to be posting the recipe and ingredients in the chat so you could follow along.
Hi,
if you're able
everyone.
to, please put your Zoom on mute.
Yes, everyone is auto set to mute. Hi, welcome, welcome. That's Brianna. I'm Julia. We're both with Tradition Kitchens. We are so excited to have 128 of you, and the numbers keep increasing by the minute. We broke all records with registration for this class, so thanks everyone for your patience. If you haven't joined us for Tradition Kitchens before, we're so excited to have you. We're going to go through everything and make sure everyone feels comfortable and ready, but we do want to make sure you're on video. It's great to see so many wonderful faces. Brianna, do we want to ask an opening question for people as they're coming on?
Yeah, so we want to know where you are and how you found us. So if you could just drop that in the chat, we would love to know. And I will also keep on posting the recipe and the ingredients for people to see.
Yeah, and a couple of quick announcements for everybody. If you're new to Zoom, or maybe you haven't done Zoom in a while, when you're looking at Zoom app, on the bottom left, there is mute. You all were pre-muted when you came in, so only unmute when necessary so that we can all hear our teacher. Next to it is the stop and start video. Don't turn off your video. We love seeing you. It's great to have all of these wonderful faces and to learn where you are all calling in from. And then if you move further along on the app, there's a chat function. All of you are doing a great job answering where you are from, and we're seeing all these wonderful places. Brianna, can you shout out a few of the places people are calling in from?
Of course. Let's see. We have Atlanta. Shout out to Julia as well for being in Atlanta. Montreal, Wayne, New Jersey, another couple New Jersey, California, Aloha from Hawaii. Hello, welcome. Seattle, Minnesota, Denver, a few from Los Angeles. Welcome. Wow. Another from Hawaii, Philadelphia, which is pretty close to me right now.
This is great. I'm just going to push pause really quickly on you calling them out and just make a couple quick PSAs as we have more people joining us. We're now at 154 attendees. To keep going with the Zoom etiquette, on the top right of your Zoom is a view. You can actually hit speaker view or gallery view. Gallery view is really fun to start off because it's like the Brady Bunch. You can see everybody. So as Brianna and I are looking, we can see all of your faces, which is so, so wonderful. I also saw a few people, they found us through the Bremen Museum, which is a wonderful museum here in Atlanta, and we are co-hosting this evening with them, so we want to thank them. We recognize that weather around the country is quite unusual right now, except maybe our Hawaiian friend has the best weather of us all. So that means that we have some storms. And so we're hopeful that all of our internet stays working, but if there's ever anything like we freeze or we cut out, we'll do our best to come back online, and we'll just hope that the weather cooperates. Before we get started, we're just waiting for a couple of people. The chat is a great way for us to communicate with one another. It's wonderful to see all of the content you're posting. Brianna, do you want to put our recipe in there to remind everybody of what we're making tonight and all the ingredients? Because I've seen a few questions come through.
Yeah, and can someone just let me know if it's working? Because I'm getting a couple emails.
It's working.
You could see the recipe?
Uh-huh.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Great. And now we have a little tradition before we get started. We love to do a kitchen cam. So that means we are looking at gallery view and we're checking out all the wonderful attendees who are here. Brianna, you might want to just make sure it's just set to open.
Oh, never mind. It's not actually working. I clicked the link and it says you need permission.
Oh, you know why? I think it's because it's in my school email.
If you could just change the link for anyone to see it, I'll do it in a second to help you out as well. or maybe I see Stephen on the line if you want to share with Stephen. So we're going to do a quick kitchen cam, which means like we're going to look and see on gallery view who's here and ask you to just quickly say hi and where you're calling in from. So I see a lot of really amazing guests. I'm going to pick Gerald. So we're going to spotlight Gerald for everyone. Gerald, and you're +1. Do you want to say hello? Make sure you unmute on the left. Oh, we can't hear you.
Hi, we're from Melville, New York.
And are you related to anybody on this call?
Well, yes.
Would you think so?
Class.
These are my grandparents, and they're supporting us tonight. So thank you guys for coming.
Thank you for
Our
doing
pleasure,
this.
Dolly.
Oh, we love it. I didn't even know. I just had a hunch. I saw a family resemblance. So that is so fun. We are all about families at Tradition Kitchens, and we love having Brianna working with us. I'm going to look over to Zoe Young. Zoe and friends, you're coming up next. Say hello. Tell us where you're calling in from. Oh, left unmute, please.
Go ahead. Hi there. I'm Suzanne. This is Julie. We're coming to you from the Big Island of Hawaii. And we're super excited.
Wow, this is so fun. Thank you for joining us. We're so happy to have you all the way from Hawaii.
Happy to be here.
This is great. All right, I think we'll do one more kitchen cam. These are all really fun. It's so hard to choose. If anybody is so excited, no, don't worry, Alyssa, we won't do everyone. There's 171 of you. That's impossible. Okay, let's see. I'm looking. Oh, I see the name here is David Rosner, but who are you? Tell us, say hello, unmute.
Hi, I'm Betsy Rosner, and this is my daughter Alyssa, and my grandson Asher, and I have another grandson that went to pick lemons for the recipe.
This is so great. Welcome, welcome. We love it. It's so wonderful to have you. Thanks for saying hi. Okay, we're going to have a couple of quick housekeeping. We are now at 174 attendees. One more quick thing I want to mention to everyone. You should have reactions in Zoom. It's on your bottom bar. And so I want to test it. There's applause, there's thumbs up, there's hearts, there's crying, laughing, there's a party horn. Show some reaction. Tell us how you're feeling as we're starting off our class today. I'd love to see some hearts, some party horns. Yes, this is great. This is so great. All right, Brianna, do you want to open with a couple of quick announcements about Tradition Kitchens, and then we'll almost get started.
Yeah.
Zoe Young, I'm recording for you, so you will get the recording afterwards. No need for you to record. Back to Brianna.
So it looks like we're able to get the link to the recipe. So I'm going to just paste it in really quick. So welcome everyone to Tradition Kitchens. This is the Hamentashen Class with Debbie from Red Spoon Bakery. We're really excited to have her again. She was with us last year for Hamentashen, and this year she's back and better than ever. So a little bit about Tradition Kitchens. If you don't know, we are a tiny organization that specializes in free cooking classes online over Zoom. We used to be able to meet in person, but it's sort of a blessing and a curse because now we're able to meet friends from Hawaii. And before we weren't able to do that. So we love to talk about culture and tradition and history. So I think Debbie might be able to give us a little bit of background about the significance of the Hamentashen cookies. So looking forward to that. And yeah, should we get started?
Yeah, a couple quick things just before we get started. As Brianna said, we are all about building community at Tradition Kitchens. So if you haven't taken a look at our site and learned all about us, I am just going to quickly show you our values to kick us off because we believe in the power of bringing people together around shared experiences. So this is actually my grandfather back in the day. He would have laughed really hard at seeing him being the cover of Tradition Kitchens. My mom and I started it together. So here's a look at some of our past classes and our upcoming classes, and then our values. So we just want to remind everybody that we are all about inclusivity, putting people first, championing creativity, and then lastly, fostering community. And as we foster community, we are going to go into breakout rooms for 5 minutes. I know so many people are really eager to get started with baking. You can preheat your oven, absolutely. Brianna will tell you the temperature if you haven't looked at the Google Doc. But breakout rooms are a really fun way for everybody to meet each other and connect. So we're going to put you in there for 5 minutes. Don't worry, you go there automatically, and then we'll bring you back and you'll come back to the main room. When you're in your breakout rooms, we hope that you will talk to each other and just say hello, share where you're from. What's your favorite flavor of Hamentashen? And it will be a really fun experience, we promise. So we have 174 of you, which means I'm going to make breakout rooms of, let's see, there will be 41, 46, 49 breakout rooms of 3 to 4 participants. So I am creating them. They are open. Please go, and we'll bring you back in 5 minutes at 7:45 Eastern. Have fun, say hello, enjoy your time together. Brianna, there were a couple other questions in chat. Somebody asked about a stick of butter and how that converts to Australian. So let's make sure we answer them really quickly. I don't know if you got that. Let's see. Debbie, you should be going back to a room. Renee, Aileen, hopefully you'll make it to a room. For those of you who are watching the recording, I will be right back. All right, we are coming back. Welcome back, welcome back. I hope everyone had a great time meeting everyone on the call and on the class tonight. As you're coming back to
Sorry, I didn't quite.
As you're coming back to our Zoom, put in the chat and let us know something you learned about the people that you met. Hopefully everyone had nice conversations. I bounced around to a few of the rooms and it was fun to chat with everybody. So we're just bringing back all the participants and we're gonna get started and introduce our teacher. Is Debbie back yet? Not yet. She must be enjoying her chat. Lexi, I'm gonna spotlight you really quickly. Can you say hi and let us know where you're calling in from? Make sure you unmute.
Hi, we're from Toronto.
Welcome. Are you related?
Yes, this is my daughter.
Wonderful. So happy to have you. It's great to have so many wonderful families cooking together. Okay, I think we have everybody. So our last tradition before we get started, I know this feels like there have been a million coming attractions tonight, is to do our Zelfie, which is our Zoom selfie. So everybody has their video on, which is great. Brianna and I are gonna ask everybody to please look at your cameras, give your best smile possible, and get excited for the Hamentashen that is about to be coming together. So 3, 2, 1. All right, there's actually 4 screens of faces. So Brianna and I are gonna try to capture everybody all at once. So 3, 2, 1, amazing. Look at all these great smiles. Okay, now I come to the screen where some of you have opted out of video, which always makes me really sad. So I think we got enough faces. With that, Brianna, are we back? Are you here?
Yes, I'm here. I'm lagging a little bit, but I could hear you.
Okay, we are gonna spotlight and introduce Debbie Lewis, who is our instructor. Now I have to just say, as we are about to begin, Debbie is someone who means so much to my family. As my mom and I started Tradition Kitchen, she has been an incredible helper, advisor. She is the kindest chef and teacher. We love her and her family. And her Hamentashen class was the last thing that we did last year before we all went into quarantine. And so it's extra special that we're here together virtually. And I know we appreciate her and her whole family, including Maya, who's helping out tonight. So Debbie, we're gonna spotlight you and kick us off. And Brianna and I are gonna monitor the chat and answer questions for everybody, but keep up the conversation. Debbie.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started making Hamentashen. So,
Debbie, sorry, you pivoted. We have to move the camera. Hold on one second, everyone. We are very grassroots here.
Wait, hold on a second. Okay, and then we're gonna try spinning it again. There you go. Is that better?
Perfect. Yes.
Okay. Good. So. Tonight we're going to make Hamentashen, which is really special in my family. Sort of how I ended up on my journey. One of the first steps on my journey to teaching cooking classes. I used to make a lot of Hamentashen for my kids' teachers when they were young, and then everybody asked for the recipe, and then started doing more and more. And so Hamentashen is something really special to our family. We love the making process, the eating process, but it really is really special to be able to give somebody just a bag of a couple Hamentashen, and people are always so thankful and surprised because, you know, they're a fun thing to make. So, and they mean a lot to our family. So we're excited to be making them. And I just want to introduce Maya. Maya's my helper tonight. I can see how much taller you are now on video. So Maya's a lot. All 3 of my girls are always in the kitchen with me making Hamentashen and other things, and it really is very special to us. So first thing we're going to do is, so normally I will tell you with the Hamentashen, this recipe is like a very good sugar cookie. So it's a little bit different. I'm a firm believer in butter in your baking. So you can use margarine if you're trying to stay away from that or trying to have it be part of, but whenever I make them, I go ahead and I use butter. As a matter of fact, I'm making some of them for a Chabad synagogue on Sunday, and they had to bring in special butter that was blessed by a rabbi, and the truck with the butter got stuck in the storm. So we're hoping that the butter gets there, and we can all make our make those Hamentashen. So, but I think butter is a key component, and just makes them taste good. So we're just starting with the butter. When I make these, when I make a bunch of them, I definitely make them in my KitchenAid mixer just because it does all the work for me. But I didn't think, it's kind of noisy and it doesn't really translate so well on Zoom. So I think it's better to watch me do it by hand. But and also, so everybody knows, you don't need a KitchenAid to make it. You can totally make it by hand. You can make it with a hand mixer. So everybody knows there's really no special equipment required. So the first thing I did was I have 2 sticks of butter. You don't want to melt the butter. So whenever you're baking, if it says melt the butter, then go ahead and do it. But most of the time, especially like cookies and pies and things like that, you want to go ahead and the butter should be, if I was doing it in my mixer and I wasn't having to really push on it so much, I would take it straight cold out of my refrigerator. But since I'm doing it by hand, I let it come not till it's squishy, but till it's a little bit cooler. Now that said, I'm giving you a lot of directions about the butter. I'm telling you, unless you melted the butter, otherwise it's going to come out good. And if your butter was a little too soft, you always stick it in the refrigerator for a minute or 2 and it'll be just fine. So, and your egg, it can be cold or room temperature. It does not, that will not affect these Hamentashen. So we've got the butter and I cut the butter up into cubes just because I wanted to make it go a little bit smoother and a little bit easier. So, and then I'm adding 2 sticks of unsalted butter. If you happen to only have salted butter, then don't add the salt when we go ahead and add it. So we're all flexible here, but I'm using unsalted butter. And then I'm going to go ahead and add 1 cup of sugar. And then I am going to just go ahead, and my kitchen is a little bit cold, so my butter is not softening up very easily. So you're going to watch me get a little bit of a workout here. While I'm doing this, I'm just basically rubbing the sugar and the butter together. If you're making this in a KitchenAid mixer, then you're going to let it run on a medium speed, and you're just going to get the butter and the sugar nice and whipped together. So again, it's definitely a little bit more work by hand, but I could use the exercise these days for sure. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, we
Yes.
actually have a question. Is it okay to use earth balance sticks, which apparently is not real butter?
Right. So I am going to say that I have not specifically used them in this recipe, but I'm sure it will be fine. And the thing about it is you know how people say that baking is an exact science, and there is some of that to it, but there's also some, you can be a little flexible. So for some reason, I remember once maybe making it with something like Earth Balance, and maybe I used a little bit less flour. So when we're adding the flour, you might just have to kind of eyeball it a little bit or go with the feel. And when we get to that step, we can talk that through. But yes, you can totally use that. Anybody else?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. You said if we're using a stand mixer, what speed should we be doing it at?
Like a medium speed. Honestly, you don't want to whip it like on high. But you just want to you want to mix it medium high, and you're going to get that nice, air going with it. Get it aerated, the butter. That'll work out really nicely on a medium to medium high. Anybody else?
Someone is curious, where did you buy those chocolate pieces?
That's a great question. So I'm always happy to talk about chocolate. So I grew up, my mom owned a chocolate store, so it's in our blood. But so I bought these. I order from a company wholesale a lot of chocolate because I use a lot of it for classes and stuff. But You can get these like we have a grocery store in Atlanta called Fresh Market and Whole Foods, and you can get this kind of chocolate. You just want to use, when we're doing the chocolate, and I'll talk a little bit more about it, you just want to use, you don't want to use chocolate chips if you can help it. You want to use chocolate that's meant for baking or melting. So, and I'll talk more about it, you can use chocolate chips, but I'll talk more about what to look for when we do the chocolate.
So Debbie, you mentioned
how
your
many-
mom had a chocolate store. What was the name of her chocolate shop?
Oh, it was called, in Cleveland, Ohio, it was called Executive Sweets. And she did all of everybody's bar mitzvahs and weddings, and she was the chocolate lady of Cleveland.
Very nice.
How many Hamentashen does this yield?
Well, that depends. And you're gonna hear me say that a lot. So I would say the size that I use, I'll show you, hang on a second. The size cutter that I use, I believe this is about 2 inches. It makes about 24 of them, but sometimes I make them like giant for fun. Sometimes I make them, if I'm making them for large groups of people, I'll make them really small. So it really, really just depends. But the answer is around 24. How does that work?
Thank you. That's great.
Anybody else?
One last question about Australia. Brianna, do you see that question about what is a stick of butter equal? Did you catch that?
Yeah, I actually looked it up and Laura was correct. It's about 113 grams to like a standard stick of butter. I know it comes in different sizes, but I think that's like the half cup butter stick.
2 sticks is equal to 1 cup.
Yes, correct. So one half cup stick is 113 grams approximately.
Why I'm doing this, because the butter is really still very cold, which is good because that's going to make my cookies flaky. But you can see that I just went ahead and I took out a fork because I was getting kind of tired of, and everybody was probably tired of watching me do that. So I just kind of breaking it up with, and softening it up a little bit and getting that sugar mixed in there with a fork. So I'm just.
Again.
Anybody else have any other questions? This is.
I have a question.
Yes.
How would you recommend doing this? No butter, because I don't eat dairy. So would you recommend using oil or something?
I would say, somebody mentioned using Earth Balance. I would say something with a consistency. If you used oil, I'm afraid that they wouldn't come together quite right. So, but I would recommend like an Earth Balance, a margarine type product. It's interesting.
How about coconut butter or coconut oil?
I have never used coconut butter, so I cannot answer to that. But I say go ahead and try it. Another thing, I mean, it does call for an egg, so it is. I don't know if you're not using eggs either, but we can.
No, I eat eggs.
Okay, so you probably want to look for a recipe that is really this is definitely a dairy recipe, like unless you're substituting. So you might want to look at some other, there's so many great options out there. But what will be great for you is when we're going over how we fold and shape the Hamentashen. But otherwise I've never made it without egg or, so I'm just, again, you can try it, that's definitely give it a shot.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Debbie, we have a couple other questions.
Yes.
So someone thinks that the 2-inch cutter looks a little small. So is it 2 inches?
I don't have a ruler to actually measure it. But I will say that it's pretty, I can see if Maya can find a ruler and we can measure it, but Maya, will you see if you can find like a tape measure or something?
Yeah.
But anybody else, any questions while we're measuring this?
Yes. Can you make these in advance and then freeze them? So I'm not sure if they mean the dough or the cookie.
So I'll tell you all yes to all of the above. So I make them all the time and then I freeze them. I hand them out to people in these brown like paper bags that I get that have like a little, they're almost like a coffee bag. And so I just freeze them right in that bag and then I can just give them out to people. But yeah, you can totally, the Container Store has these great plastic bins that are like they're like rectangle, and I have a bunch of those and I just stack the cookies on top of each other and just freeze it in there. And then I take them out. You can freeze them unbaked and bake them as well. But I think this is one of those, like most of the time, like chocolate chip cookies, you freeze the dough unbaked. But I think that by the time you defrosted the dough, I think it's best to probably just bake them and freeze them for Hamentashen. That would be my recommendation. But anybody else?
Yes, we have a couple others coming in. Someone's wondering why we're not refrigerating this dough before.
Okay, so that's a great question. So a lot of time, sugar cookies, I look at a lot of sugar cookie, because this is based on a sugar cookie dough recipe. And a lot of, first of all, we're using butter that's colder butter. We're using a little bit higher flour content. So we're really trying to make them flaky. And we're also, the way the dough is structured, here, Maya, will you measure that? The way the dough is structured, it's structured so it doesn't spread too much in the oven. It will spread a little bit, but it's really structured for that reason. So so it's just now you can put it in the refrigerator. And I'm going to show you guys when we do
It's like 10 inches, or I don't know how to what you're trying. I mean, oh, like that.
Yeah, it's actually 3 inches. Yes. So this is a 3-inch. Good catch. So I'll talk a little bit more about, like, you can roll your dough out because you don't want to overwork cookie dough, or it's like a kind of like a pie dough. You want it to be a little bit flaky. You don't want to overwork it. So we can roll it from this stage, and then we can layer it and put it in the refrigerator. But I'll show you when I get to that stage. I actually have an example of that to show you guys. So my butter is really nice and creamy right now. So now I'm going to go ahead and add an egg. And also this recipe only has, if you notice, it's just 1 egg. So it's almost like, we could say, a cross between a sugar cookie and a shortbread cookie. A typical shortbread cookie would have no egg in it, but this just has 1 egg in it. So just that, so that way it also does not, it doesn't have to be, it's sort of the typical texture of this dough. It ends up feeling a little bit like Play-Doh is how it will end up feeling. Any other questions? So I'm getting back in there with the fork so I can get this all mixed up. And I can
we have, someone's wondering how thin you roll out the dough, but I'm assuming you'll explain that when you finish making the dough.
Yes. So can we spotlight? I'll just tell you, like, just in case anybody's baking along, I have butter in here, sugar, and egg. And so can we spotlight maybe a couple people and see if anybody's baking along with us?
I'm gonna spotlight a couple people at the same time. So Beck and David, you are here. If you want to show us how it's going, and I'm gonna add Julie, our Hawaiian friends. You're here if you want to show us. And I'll see, I think I can add a few more. Patty, I'm gonna potentially add you to the spotlight. All right, let's see, how's it going? Anyone else, let us know in the chat if you want to be added. I'll look around. Carol, you look ready to show off what's going on too. This is
Well,
great.
I only have my dinner to show off because I'm not baking along. I just want to make sure I know how to do this. So, but dinner is good.
Patty looks like that looks great. Look at how far along she is with the dough.
Oh, Patty, you're like well ahead of us.
There's another Patty.
Just mixing my dough at this point. I mean, mixing the egg in.
Okay.
You let that go for?
You can let it go until it's a little bit fluffy. So definitely mine, because my arms are not as strong as your mixer. So mine won't be as fluffy as yours, but you can kind of see how it's just mixed in the egg and just mixed in with the egg. And then this is when, once you can let the mixer go a little crazy, you can put it on medium high, but once you start adding the dry ingredients, you want to slow it down. So you want to put it on low. I'm going to go ahead and add the lemon juice. I add lemon juice. That's just what my family is used to. But you can add, I believe in the recipe, it says 1/4 of a teaspoon. I often do 1/2 teaspoon. You can add less lemon juice. You can add no lemon juice. You can add vanilla. You can add almond extract. You can add a little bit of orange juice. You just want to add something to give it flavor. So whatever works for you, whatever flavors you like. And I will say, even with the chocolate and the lemon go really well together. So, but I like the lemon. I think it just gives it a little bit of a fresh, zesty, springy flavor. So now I've got, I'm going to take my dry ingredients. So I've got my lemon juice, my butter and sugar in here. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my baking powder, which is 3/4 of a teaspoon. And then I'm going to add salt, 1/4 of a teaspoon. When I bake, I'm using kosher salt. You can use sea salt, any kind of salt, but that's just what I like. I like a little bit of crunchy salt in there. And then I'm just kind of giving it a little mix, and then I'm ready to add. And then I'm going to add most of it, but I'm going to hold some back a little bit, just a tiny bit. Flour is, it's a lot of times when I make challah with people, and if you give people the exact amount of flour and they go ahead and add all of it at one time, and then it depends what kind of flour, how dry is it outside, and there's so many variants, and you can really see. So I always, when I'm adding flour, I usually don't add the whole thing. I usually just kind of leave just a little bit aside, and I'm just mixing this. Again, this is the step. If you're using your mixer, you want to mix this slow, and just the minute it comes together, it's going to be kind of, maybe a little bit crumbly, but that's okay. But you want it to, the minute it comes together, stop the mixer. You do not want to overwork the glutens in the flour. So that is a good trick to make your cookies nice and your Hamentashen nice and flaky. Anybody have any questions?
It looks like we have a raised hand from Sherry.
Yes.
If you want to say your question or type it out in the chat.
Real quick question. How many inches, how thick do you want the dough? I didn't see that in the recipe.
Yeah, so again, I would say I have a rolling pin that's like specifically rolls it like 1/4 of an inch. Again, this is where it's your personal preference. So if you like your Hamentashen thin, you could get it really thin, 1/8 of an inch. I tend to like them a little bit thicker. I'll show you just. So this was about 1/4 of an inch that I rolled it out to, and that's that's how these came out. So if that gives you an idea. Anybody else?
Yes, Debbie. What hook do you use for your KitchenAid? Do you use the K hook or the dough hook?
Oh, for the, sorry, I had a little trouble hearing you. You can definitely, but I believe you asked what kind of hook. I would use not the dough hook. That is usually for bread, or the bread, that little kind of long hook, but do not use the whisk hook. So it's usually just the regular hook. Maria, will you grab me from the KitchenAid mixer? Yes.
It's a paddle. It's the paddle hook, the K hook.
Okay, yes. So this would be the hook. I have a special one that I use that has like a little bit of a rubber edge. That's the one. This is the hook that I would use.
Yeah, that's the K hook. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so my dough, my kitchen is like, feels a little cold. So I am doing it the old fashioned way. And I am just getting my hands in there. And I'm going to bring this dough together because that's going to be the best way to do it. I used to do a lot of baking with kids at camp and camps. And I have to say there's nothing like baking, just getting in with your hands. And again, this is like how you would make a pie crust or something that's flaky. So we're doing it nice. And when I'm using my hands, I'm kind of like a stress ball is how I'm just kind of squeezing it a little bit, getting that flour mixed in, but I'm not over mixing it. Even with my hands, I'm going to be kind of careful. Any other questions? We want to highlight anybody else?
I have a question. When you put it on your cookie sheet, should it be greased or just not?
I always am a parchment user, so I would say if you're not, your parchment is the best thing. If you don't have parchment, I mean, not everybody, always has parchment handy, then either a little bit, I would just lightly grease it. I have to say, I'm not a big Pam person. That's like a personal issue that I kind of have. So, but if you like Pam, then go ahead and use it. So, does that answer that question? Any others?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been getting some questions about the history and the origins of Hamentashen. So can you tell us a little story about that?
My daughter is looking at me right now going, oh, Mom. So my history probably goes to baking them, but I will say that, the story of Purim, when the Jews were being threatened and by a man named Haman, and there was the king was married to a woman named Queen Esther, and the queen said to the king, hey, I'm Jewish, and your guy Haman is trying to hurt my people, and so the story goes that Haman had a triangle hat. Am I doing this well? My daughter goes to Jewish day school, so she can probably, I should have let her answer better. But yes, and so we eat these cookies. Jews around the world eat them during Purim. And the one thing about Purim is we share with others, and it's a tradition where you donate. At our synagogue, they do a big food drive and they collect food for people who are hungry. And I believe I saw Debbie Sonnenschein here, who's on here, who does a lot of work with our synagogue and the hunger program. And it's also really nice to share mishloach manot, baskets, and you make packages for your neighbors and your friends and people to share. So it's really a time that that you're blessed and thankful for what we have, and we definitely, as a way of giving thanks for the Jewish people surviving, we share with others. So I hope that answers that. That's anybody other questions? So I am showing you this by hand, and you're seeing that this is looking see how my hand is not sticking to it. It's like Play-Doh, and it's a little bit flaky. And what I'm gonna do, since I'm doing it by hand, I'm gonna go ahead, hang on a second.
Hey, Debbie, as you're setting up, I've just spotlighted Steve, and he wants a little help on how to roll dough. So we can all help Steve out too.
Thank you.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, just let me go ahead while I'm doing that. If you want to just slow down for a minute, you're just faster than I am right now. So, but I'm going to dump my dough out, and I am going to bring it together by hand.
If you were going to use jam, do you have to process it in any way?
No, but you want to be careful that your jam doesn't have too high of a sugar content. And I'll show you when we're ready to do the fillings, I'll show you one brand in particular. I usually try not to be like brand specific in my cooking classes, but I do feel like this is one of those circumstances where I will recommend. So I'm going to go ahead, and you can see it's coming together. It's a little flaky, so you can see, and I'm just working those flakes in. The flakiness is what's going to make it good. So, and when I'm rolling it, it's going to come out nice and smooth. So I'm going to leave this actually, I was going to do the chocolate filling, but I feel like we have so many questions about rolling it. I'll show you how to roll it, then we'll do the chocolate filling, and we can come back to that. So when you're rolling it, you're making it into a nice ball. I have 2 rolling pins. I'll show you. This is my favorite one. It has like a little groove in here, and that way I get a consistent roll. But if you're using a rolling pin, the one secret about rolling, that's the only secret, is to always do it in the middle. So you always want to roll from the middle. You don't want to do the edges here because you'll get inconsistency. It's hard to have a good, what's the term? It's just hard to do it well. Let's just put it that way. It's easier to do it.
Should I put flour down?
Yeah. So you're going to want to put some flour down. I'm going to show you a trick here. So I think these are the best inventions, these little tea things. And I am going to go ahead and just flake some flour down here. So you just want to put a little bit. If you're doing it by hand, you want to go ahead and from high up, you just want to kind of sprinkle the flour. You just don't want to get too much flour on there. You just want a little bit. Your dough should be, not too sticky, because it's just not, the dough is not a sticky dough. So, and then I'm also going to go ahead, I'm going to flour a little bit on top. I'm going to go ahead and flour my rolling pin.
I got a question for you. My dough isn't flaky, but it's also not sticky. So do I have to add more flour to it, or will it still work okay?
No, you don't have to add more flour to it. As a matter of fact, I'm doing it for demonstration purposes because somebody asked the question, but my dough would have been fine without adding any more flour. You don't have to add more flour.
Because I'm only doing a half a recipe, so I only used half an egg because I'm making some more of them in a couple days. So I'm using a different batch of them and a different recipe, so I didn't want to do too many of them. So I didn't know if that made a difference, but yeah. So okay, cool, thank you.
No, my pleasure. So and probably if I was looking not at the camera and looking more at my dough, I just would have like blended it in a little bit more. I have a little bit of, the way I mixed it, but it's going to be fine when I roll it out. So I am rolling this dough out, and I probably have a lot of dough here. So I'm going to try to go this way with it, but you can see that it's getting smoother and smoother.
Debbie, we have a couple questions about the recipe. It says to let the dough rest. So how long is the dough supposed to rest?
Yeah, so and because I'm doing the demonstration, but this is when I usually, like after I make the dough, I usually put it aside. I honestly do not often put it in my refrigerator. I usually just set it aside. I cover it with just a dish towel, and I set it aside 20-30 minutes. because you want the glutens like to rest. So what you can do, another thing is if you want to refrigerate it. So there's several options here. And again, it's based on how warm is it in your kitchen. If you see that your dough is really soft and you're going to need to put it in the refrigerator, then you can go ahead, and I recommend to roll it and then put it on your cookie sheet and then put it in your refrigerator. So earlier today, I tested out, because I actually had somebody email me a couple questions before the class about that. So what I did was I pre-rolled some dough, and then I just stacked the sheets. I thought, gosh, if I'm making it with a bunch of kids and I don't want them maybe just to do the rolling and the shaping part, or just the shaping part and the eating part, which their favorite thing to do anyways, then I went ahead and I just, and I layered it. So I have a couple layers. And again, this was just for demonstration. And I just stacked it up, rolled out. So, but it is, if you put it in the refrigerator for a while and then you go to roll it, you're going to overwork the dough a little bit, because it's going to be a little bit, or then you take it out of the refrigerator, you want to let it soften up a little bit. So I recommend, and a lot of food people with like sugar cookies now, a lot of people are recommending that you go ahead and you roll it out and then refrigerate it. So. Any other questions?
Yeah, someone is wondering where you got your rolling pin that has the 1/4-inch groove.
Oh, okay. So I got it on, I believe it was Food 52. It's like a food community. They sell a lot of great stuff. But I have to say, this was like a treat to myself that I bought myself as a present. And it's like, I've loved it ever since. It's just great because it just makes rolling so easy. So you can see that it just comes out a nice, even consistency. And they come in different, it says 1/8 of an inch, but it really is it comes out a little bit thicker than 1/8. So this is a great size. So, okay. So I've got the dough rolled, and actually now that I have it rolled, I'm actually going to let it rest a little bit, just because I think let those glutens rest a little bit. So I'm actually going to move that to the side, and then we're just going to switch for a minute for a quick filling, and then we'll go back to actually shaping. And I have a trick. I tried it out this afternoon, and I'm so excited. It's like a new trick to shape your Hamentashen. So I'm really excited to show everybody. Okay, so this is basically, we're making as a chocolate filling. You can use, by the way, Nutella works great. Israeli chocolate spread, I use the par version. It works pretty good too, I have to say. The ones I'm doing on Sunday, we're making 1,000 of them. So I was like, we can't make that much chocolate ganache for that many Hamentashen. So we're just buying the Israeli chocolate spread. But so making a ganache, the first thing that we're doing is, I see a little bit of water in my pan. I'm just going to dry it out. I'm going to go ahead and put in the recipe. I'm making a half recipe because I made some earlier, but you can use either 4 ounces or 8 ounces. But the ratio, all you need to know, and let's say you want to do 3 ounces, the ratio is 1 to 1. So whatever you're using with heavy cream, you're going to match that to the chocolate. So right now I'm doing 4 ounces of heavy cream, and I'm going to use 4 ounces of chocolate. And then here is where I'm going to go ahead and turn my stove on. I have induction, so sometimes it doesn't cooperate. There it goes. And then I'm going to turn it on. You do not want to turn it on. You don't want to over boil your cream. You just want to get it to a nice light boil. So the minute you put that cream on, you really, really need to watch it, because you don't want a heavy boil. And usually you can just see along the edges. And when it gets to that stage, I'll show you that it just kind of boils up a little bit. And then we're just going to add our chocolate. We're going to let it sit for 3 minutes. We're not going to touch it. We're not going to mix it. We're not going to stir it. And then we'll have this beautiful, really nice ganache. So, and I'll show you while that's going. I made some of the ganache earlier, and it is ready to go. So you do have to refrigerate this for a little bit, not long. So I'm just watching this cream. And do we have any truffle fans? I did my first, I did a very small in-person class. Everyone was masked up, and it was pretty cool. It was really neat to be face-to-face. And I did a truffle class the other day. So this is basically the same recipe, a little bit, you use a little bit higher ratio of chocolate. So basically this is basically really like a truffle, that we're putting a truffle inside of our Hamentashen. So it is still coming up. And honestly, since I'm in my own home, I can do it. But I think the best way to sometimes check too, I'm waiting for the low boil, but just to see how it's coming, just kind of stick your finger in. Right now, it kind of feels a little bit still too cool. So you want it to feel like really pretty warm bath water. And again, you do not want it, if it comes to a heavy boil, well, that's okay. Just take it off and let it cool back down. You just don't want to add the chocolate when it's really, really too hot. Any questions? Oh, chocolate. So we were talking about chocolate. So this that I'm using actually, Guittard is a brand that I happen to really like, but there's lots of good brands out there. And this one is 64%. So when you're doing this, I think you want to use, I mean, you could do like 50% if you wanted a little bit milkier. You could do 75% if you want it really a little bit darker. I would say I would stick between 75% and 50%. I think those are good ratios for chocolate to make this ganache. So if you use chocolate chips are designed, they have an additive in them. So if you ever notice they look beautiful in a chocolate chip cookie, they don't completely melt everywhere in the cookie. And that's because they have little additives, so they're supposed to kind of stay together. So when you're melting chocolate, sometimes when you're melting chocolate chips, they don't always melt so good. So I highly recommend getting like barred chocolate that comes in a bar is really a good idea. So you can see, I don't know if you can see, I'm going to try to show you, but it's kind of bubbling up a little bit. And it's getting almost, let me feel it. Ooh, that's feeling, I'm going to give it about 30 more seconds. And then I'm going to take it off the heat. All I'm going to do is add the chocolate. Oh, and if you're getting your chocolate in a bar, you definitely take your hammer, whatever kitchen tool you have, get your frustrations out, and you definitely want to break it up into pieces. I do happen to, because I buy it in this bulk thing, I do happen to have it broken up, but you can totally easily break it up. And you can see right now, I don't know if you can see it, but it is starting to bubble on the side. I'm going to take it off. I'm going to kind of feel it, make sure, might let it cool for another second or two. I might have gotten a little too hot. And then all I'm doing is I'm going to go ahead and pour the chocolate in. I'm going to press it down so it's covered. Can you see that? It's covering, the cream is covering it. And I'm going to leave it. Alexa, set the timer for 3 minutes. And we just set the timer for 3 minutes. Set the timer for 3 minutes, and we're ready. We'll be ready to go with that. So any questions about chocolate, the ganache? I will tell you a secret about the ganache. It also is known as chocolate fondue. So if you don't refrigerate that and you have pretzels or strawberries or marshmallows or something good in your house, you can just go ahead and dip it in, and it's beautiful chocolate fondue. And then the other thing is, if you wanted to go ahead and add, after we mix it in and after we add mix the chocolate in after the 3 minutes, you go ahead and add rum or any kind of liqueur that an orange liqueur or something that can add a nice little flavor to your chocolate. So you can have fun with that and enjoy that. Any questions? I'm going to start with the shaping and rolling. Any questions, anybody?
Debbie, really quickly, yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about. We might have some people I know who are struggling with the rolling. We're trying to do our best to get to everyone's questions. There are a lot. Some of them I would suggest, they're pretty specific, and Google is a great resource to help answer questions. But I'll let Brianna ask a couple of them, and then we need to get to the rolling because we want to be mindful of people's times because we are at an hour in. So Brianna, let's pick one or two.
Yeah, so I got a couple questions about a parv sub for heavy cream. I just looked it up. I saw you could use coconut cream and pureed tofu, which doesn't sound that good, but if that's what you're into, go for it.
Yes, the coconut would be, that's a great suggestion.
Let's see what else. More people are asking how thin you rolled the dough. I believe it was a little bit less than a 1/4 inch thick.
Yes, and again, that's going to be there's no, like, somehow everyone wants to know exactly, there's really no right or wrong here, so if you like them, again, thicker, roll it thicker. So sometimes I like a lot of thicker cookies, sometimes I like them thinner, sometimes I'll make, just depending on, or I need the dough to go further because I need 28 instead of 24, then I'll just roll them thinner. So, but I want to go ahead and show you this little trick that I kind of figured out this afternoon. And again, I've never tried it with anybody else. I just tried it myself, and I think it really helps. So a lot of times I've made Hamentashen with hundreds of people and kids and everybody live, made a lot of Alexa off. Maya, I'm going to have Maya, will you come and mix go ahead and mix the chocolate up. So we're going to go ahead and mix the chocolate up. And that's all. At first, just when you mix the chocolate, it's going to look kind of, it looks kind of icky at first. And then just keep kind of playing, just kind of mix it and work that chocolate in there, and you'll get a nice, smooth, beautiful, glossy chocolate. So what happens is when people seem to have, for some reason, the folding of the Hamentashen, it seems to be a little tricky for people, and I get it. So I had found online this special plastic Hamentashen cutter, and it has like indentations. It was really expensive, and it's a lot to buy it. You really have to love Hamentashen for that. So I kind of came up with another solution for that, and I'm curious how other people think it works. And so first, you're going to go ahead and cut your circle, and I'm going to go ahead and take out this circle. And then I'm also going to show you another trick. Again, I make a lot at a time. So a lot of times I'll make like a minimum 100 can be a small batch for me. So I think a nice little trick is to go ahead and take your preserves and put them in a pastry bag. So it can make it go, just makes it go nice and fast. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I am using this brand. So I hope I'm not mispronouncing it, Bon Maman. And I think this brand, it has enough sugar in it that it it's preserves, but it doesn't ooze everywhere. It just bakes up very nicely. I highly recommend it. There's tons of other brands, but I just would watch the sugar content. If it gets a little bit too high, it tends to just ooze everywhere. So I'm using a pastry bag. You can use a Ziploc bag. You can use spoons. You can use a bunch of different methods for spooning it out, but this just happens to, I thought it would be nice to show this trick. Hang on a second. And then I'm just going to cut a little hole in there. Here we go. So that's ready. So what I'm going to do with this triangle. So what I did is I took this and I just cut a triangle with my 3-inch cookie cutter. I just cut a triangle, and then I'm going to go ahead, move this over, and then I take a knife. And again, this is like Hamentashen for beginners, or I was about to say Hamentashen for dummies, but because we all, you know, it's a learning thing. So, but it's a good trick. So you go ahead and take the knife. You don't want to cut all the way through, but you're just going to go ahead and make a little split there. And you might just want to try this for your first couple. If you've had trouble folding Hamentashen, go ahead and try this for a couple, and then you'll get the hang of it. And then you probably won't need that. But you can see, does that show, Julia, Brianna, can you see the little indentation?
Yeah.
Okay, and so that just kind of gives you a marker of where to fold. And again, everybody, you know, when I make Hamentashen with a group of people, everybody kind of has a different level of, okay, and I'm just putting the filling in.
And one thing I just wanted to say, I love Debbie's techniques. They are amazing. But I think if people might not have as sophisticated a system, they could use a spoon. Is that cool?
Absolutely. Yes. I was just showing you, like, if you're making a whole bunch, and again, I'm in the mode, I'm getting ready to make 1,000 of them in one day. So I'm sort of in that mode. But yeah, most of the time a spoon works great. You know, whatever works. Yes, you don't buy anything specific for that. So, okay, so you can see, and now I'm folding up. When I'm folding, I'm not pinching, I'm folding up. So, and then I'm folding over the corner a little bit. So one side, one little edge is under the other. Now this is being very specific. No one really is going to look at your Hamentashen and say, you didn't fold that quite right. They're just going to be so delicious. Everyone's going to love them. But just if I get a lot of questions about this, so I'm just answering it. So, so I'm folding up, and then I'm folding that flap on top of that flap, and then I'm folding it underneath. So, and again, under, over doesn't matter, but you just want to go ahead and fold up, and then there you go. So my dough is a little bit crumbly, but I think it's going to be great. So here's my first one. And I'm going to make a couple more and show, do we have anybody else who's shaping their Hamentashen, who we can see them doing that as well?
Yeah, we may need to back up a little for some people. Did anybody need any dough rolling help? Michael, Steve, let me go back to you really quickly. Do you need some kitchen help?
Other than my mother, when I'm trying to roll, I've cut the circles, but when I go to pinch them, the dough is cracking apart.
Okay, so you might just, honestly, you're just kind of warm your hands up a little bit. You might want to rub your hands together and just sort of, you can sometimes just warm it with your hands. If it's really cracking too much, sometimes the weight rolling it, the friction from rolling it will kind of soften it up a little bit. But it does tend to be a little bit of a flaky dough. And again, you know, everybody, when we all measure, and please don't think that I'm saying anybody did anything, but like when we're measuring our flour and we're, you know, there's so many variations, but I think those might be a few things to help you, is the warmth of your hands.
So
and
I shouldn't try to moisten the dough of any way, or
you shouldn't what?
Moisten the dough, make it a little moist. Add a little water or something.
I know. I mean, I would say that's. Let's see. How about you show it to us? Let's all learn from this. Show it to us. We want to see it.
Great. Yeah.
Listen, we're all.
By the way, in the background, my husband is cooking dinner. My dog is here wanting to eat something. All this. So this is what's happening. I can't see myself.
Yeah, we can see the dough. Yeah.
But
so hold it a little higher. Yeah. You see it?
See how it is like that?
Okay, so you might just a little, honestly, a little, that's not too bad at all. That's nothing.
You're just really nice to me.
No, it really isn't. And by the way, we all want to know what you're having for dinner. So we might spotlight on what you're cooking for dinner
It'll
too.
be better than this.
Oh, no, I'm sure it's gonna be, but a little bit of warmth in your hands and maybe give it another roll with your rolling pin. But I think you can, and even if it's flaky and you fold it over, it's still gonna be good.
And also, how much did you like a teaspoon of jam? Is that or whatever?
So I would say like a teaspoon would be probably a little bit much. I would do like
That
maybe.
may also be the problem. I may have put too much jam in there.
Oh yeah, and you know what? It'll taste really good. And by the way, the crumbly ones. Love it. That's great. Gotta have fun with it. The crumbleness of it. For some people, like this recipe, people struggle with it. I mean, I do it all the time, so I know how to work it, but it's a very typical issue. But if you kind of go with the crumbliness a little bit, you're gonna have a flakier cookie than if it was too soft. So it's good.
Thank you.
Hang in there, Steve. Hang in there. You're doing good.
You're doing great. So I'm gonna show you one with the chocolate. So I went ahead and I used a little scooper, but a spoon works great. And then I'm just gonna put the chocolate ball in the middle. And I can do this one more time if people wanna see it. And I'm just making a little slit there and a little slit. And the trick is where people kind of struggle with their Hamentashen is when they pinch up and they don't fold over. And that's when, listen, I could make 100 Hamentashen. Sometimes I'll make 100 Hamentashen and I'll have 5 or a few of them that'll open up. And sometimes there's no rhyme or reason to it. So it's okay. If they open up, they're still gonna taste good. So I'm gonna put the chocolate in there and then I'm just folding up and I'm just kind of folding the corners over a little bit and folding.
5 more doughs.
There we go. There's.
Let me mute.
And then I'm just kind of pressing down a little bit on it because I am trying to get them to stay closed. So, but here I'll go ahead and do another one.
Is this like good?
Show us. Let's see. I want to see.
Sorry, who wanted to ask how it was going? To shout out again so I can add you to the spotlight.
It's at 1750. I was asking.
Pat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. You might want to kind of, like yours is just kind of press down on the edges a little bit, just to kind of keep it closed a little bit, a little more insurance to keep them closed. But otherwise, that is beautiful. Absolutely. You're perfect.
Okay, so is that better?
Beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy. I hope I'm excited to see how they come out. So I saw somebody had a question about an egg wash. These do not need an egg wash. It's not a pie crust. It's really a sugar cookie situation. So you really don't need it. If you want to use it, you can do it, but I don't. I just let them get nice and brown in the oven. So I'm not using my little triangle here. I'm curious to see, if anybody thinks that helped them or not. That would be a good thing to get feedback on. You won't hurt my feelings. It's the first time I've ever done it with a group, so we'll see. But I'm going and I'm just gonna fold this one freehand this time. And I'm just folding one of the edges, folding it on top. And then from the bottom, just folding it over. And then I'm gonna fold that under. I'm just folding it. And it's interesting. I'm also having, my dough is a little bit more crumbly than usual today. So I get you, But there's a couple Hamentashen ready for the oven. Can we spotlight on a couple people making their Hamentashen, shaping them?
These are the ones that I had made that, oh, sorry.
No,
yeah. So these are the ones that I had made that had the softer dough, and this was the the apple pie filling that I had made earlier, that I had mixed apple pie filling that I had chopped up, and then I put cinnamon and some lemon juice in it.
Ooh, delicious. They look beautiful. Oh, yum. I would love one of those. That sounds like a delicious idea.
So I'm gonna go stick them on and make some more.
Right. So I just want to get back. Is that the cutest cat ever on the back of your chair? Oh my gosh.
Wow.
We love the cat. So I will tell you guys one thing. This afternoon, I made some Hamentashen, and I set them what I thought was high up on the counter, and my dog ate. Luckily, not the chocolate ones, but I want to say, so be careful. Everybody likes Hamentashen. So you can see our chocolate ganache, and it's nice and glossy. Beautiful, like the melted chocolate. And then I'm gonna go ahead and stick it in the refrigerator. Again, I'm using this one that I put in the refrigerator earlier, but that one goes in the refrigerator. Usually takes about 30-40 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, until it comes together really nicely for your Hamentashen. So let's see, I see we've got spotlight on somebody.
Yep, Jody, Louise, and Lisa, and Allison, and Cheryl's cat. This is really funny. So all look really great. Anyone else want to show off? Oh, Christy, we're coming to you. We're adding you to the spotlight. Look at those colors. Wow. This is great. Raise your hand or let us know if anyone else wants to share how it's going. Patty zooming right in. I'm gonna add you. Look at these, all look great. Some people have it open a lot, some people have it open a little. It's all about your technique and what you're comfortable with. The more you do it, the better you'll get.
Oh, nice.
My husband's eating them too quickly. I can't keep them on the plate.
Oh, Kara, let's show Kara's. And
so,
this is great.
I guess they get in, they're tasting good. That's what's important.
Anyone else? All right.
Like iPad raised their hand. I'm not sure what their name is, but they're listed as iPad.
Okay, iPad, I've added you here. Megan, looks like that's Megan.
Oh. Hey, yes, it's Megan. I want to introduce myself, but I wasn't able to get that option for some reason today. So I have a 17-degree or probably lower by now weather situation here in Louisiana. And I'm fighting the crumbles, and I am trying to roll it out thinner and get the warmth of the hands going. But here is the very thick disaster of the first one.
Hold it up a little. It doesn't look too much. It's just thicker.
It's gonna, and the fact that I'll tell you something, there's a give and take here. So yours, the fact that your kitchen's so cold and it's a little bit thicker, it's gonna be nice and flaky. So it's gonna really taste good. So those are actually my favorite ones. So I'm sure it'll be great.
So if I've got, here's my cutter. I've got my
perfect.
Glass. That is a ragingly large diameter, and I'm not sure, do I need to put like a tablespoon, or I'm sorry, a teaspoon in that maybe?
Yeah, I would put some more in there. You want to get it nice. You want the center to be covered, but you know, and again, I can't tell you exactly how much to use, but yeah, definitely I would use more on that. And you know what, if it oozes out, if you use too much and it oozes out and then it gets that nice like baked jam on the edges, that's all good too. So, you know, you got to embrace it.
If it's a little bit thinner for a larger diameter, is that kind of a good idea?
Yeah, it might be to make it if you can roll it, and you know, maybe now that it's been resting a little bit, I don't know if did anybody get into the sourdough bread craze? I think a lot of people got into that, and you know, you would like be working with your dough and all this, it would be really soft, and then all of a sudden it would feel like kind of just heavy, and then you would set it aside for a few minutes and just kind of let it rest. So that might help you too with your it's too thick and you're feeling like you're having trouble rolling it. But sometimes just putting a little muscle into it, you know, when it's ready, and just pressing down in the middle with your rolling pin, I bet you can get nice. You can get the thickness that you want. So, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
Looks like Sherry has a quick question, or she's going to show us how it's going. Which one? You're on mute. And you have a great kitchen sous chef there.
Yes, he's lectures. Here's what they look like. But I did have a question.
Yeah.
Storing the dough. Thank you. I hope they can taste as good as they look. Quick question though. Storing the dough, how long can you store it in the freezer? And should you make the cookies ahead of time or store the dough and then make the cookies?
So my suggestion is for Purim is I usually make the cookies and bake them and then I freeze them. Although I notice when I freeze them, I don't usually my kids are always going into the garage freezer and there's usually not many left after they've been snuck out of the freezer. But yeah, so but if you freeze the dough, then you just have to, you let it come out and then soften up. But I would tell you, and I've never done this before, but there is no reason why this wouldn't work, is if you made like 10 Hamentashen and then you froze them, but you just have to make sure they don't touch each other. But so maybe freeze them on a tray or with parchment, and then you can stick them from the freezer and bake them in the oven. Just like you do like a chocolate chip cookie. I make my best chocolate chip cookies are from frozen dough that go into the oven. So you can try that, but I have no Hamentashen. This recipe works beautiful if you make them and then freeze them and then they defrost and they taste delicious.
Can you par bake them?
You
and
could.
Then freeze them?
I don't know. I'm being honest. I don't know what benefit that would be. You know, like I think I would just either, if you were going to do that, I would really, I think if you par bake them, I think you might have some issues with that, with them not coming up to temperature and cooking quite right. So I
think if you par bake them, they turn out greasy.
Yeah, I would recommend either freezing them whole after you bake them, or you can freeze the dough or shape them and freeze them, but you have to be really careful to freeze them separately so they don't all stick together. So
thank you.
Any other?
We have about
still asking. The temperature of the oven is 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and you bake them for 12 to 14 minutes or until they're lightly browned on the outside.
Right. And sometimes, so in my own family, we have a variety of how brown we like them. I like them very, very lightly brown. My husband likes them like really like darker brown. So we have the whole gamut. But I would say also if you have a convection oven, this is one great reason to use your convection oven. You don't have to have it, but they bake really nicely in convection and they bake really nicely without it. So.
And Laura, you've been really patient. Did you get to ask your question yet?
Yeah. Okay. So I've asked it, but I haven't seen an answer for it. So first off, thank you so much. This is really fun. And I'm really a little bitter that I promised to send these to my kids in Chicago and in upstate New York, because I really want to eat them all myself. But, and I'll also show you, I think they came out really pretty. I was the one who used the poppy seed recipe from the New York Times, which if you Google, I think I tried to put it in the chat, but somebody said they couldn't get past the firewall. So if you just Google it, you'll find it. But here's my question. What do you do with the oh, and one other thing before I get to my question is your little triangle thing. Here's your feedback. I am way too lazy and not detail oriented to like measure out a triangle because I'm lame. But if you sort of score a triangle just using the points of the circle, it kind of works. So it's an idea, but a lazier version of it.
Oh no, thank you for sharing. That's a great idea. So that's what I love about and I really loved on Zoom. I feel like learning, sharing the poppy seed recipe from the New York Times, everybody learning from everybody. So thank you for sharing that. And yes.
Okay, and then the other thing is with the dough scraps, because being a nice Jewish girl, I don't really like to waste the dough. What do I do with it?
Well, okay, so I'll tell you, if you're a French pastry chef or you're having a French pastry chef over, you would not want to re-roll them because they would know. But in my family, I re-roll until the very last one. And sometimes if I'm doing a special event where somebody might know, I might just go ahead and do, my mom at her candy store had a sample tray. So I might just use the scraps and make a sample tray. But
they'll be inferior.
Yeah. No. They're perfectly fine. I would be happy to eat them. So any other, I love the question part and just the interacting. It's really so nice to see everybody. Anybody else want to show us? Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Where are you from?
I'm from LA.
Oh, LA. Okay. So so do you have nice weather in LA? I feel like that's the topic.
Beautiful weather. I was telling my breakout room that I got to go on an 8-mile hike this morning. It was incredible. It was beautiful. I had a light layer on. I had to pull it off because I got too warm. I'm so sorry for everybody else.
Come here.
Really quickly.
If we could all fly, we would be at your doorstep. So for sure. At least you have Hamentashen to give us.
Yes. Well, no, because they're for my kids.
Wait.
Can I ask you a question, Debbie? This is Linda. How are you?
Please, Linda. Hi.
Hi. I wanted to know if the ganache, does that burn if you put it in beforehand? Or should you make a space and fill the ganache afterwards?
No, it does not burn.
Okay.
It does not. And I have not had an issue with that. It kind of will on the edges, but once you take it out and it cools down, it works out perfect.
Okay, thank you so
Can you
much.
get a close-up? Can you get a close-up of you folding it?
Close-up?
Put the camera really close to you folding it?
Yeah. I'm gonna try. It's not gonna be very graceful here, but we'll see what we can do. Let's see. You may not. Okay, let's see if we can move it. There we go. Is that better? Is that better?
Can you fold? Yeah, can you fill and fold one?
Yes.
I think you need to tilt it just a little bit for some reason. There we go.
And that's okay that you can't see my whole face because that's not what's important. So here, I already filled this one, but I'll show you, I'll do another one, but I'm gonna go ahead. So I kind of folded these edges and I folded this little tip over on top. And that's just a little secret. So it doesn't open, it has a little more weight from the other side. So you're kind of weighting it down with the other side. And then I'm going this way and I'm gonna fold this one on top here. And then I'm gonna fold this one over here. So, and then I'm just kind of taking the warmth of my hands and I'm just kind of pressing it down a little bit. And there you have it. So I'm gonna do another one. Okay, let me cut a circle out. Okay, and then I'm going to do some more filling in there. And this actually I got at Costco and a big jar of it. So, and it's actually 4 fruits. My family, we like this, but we love the raspberry is our favorite. So, and then I'm gonna just fold it. You see how I filled it? And then I'm just folding it over. And I'm just using the warmth of my hands. So this one is actually a little bit more crumbly, but it'll be good. I'm gonna fold this one under and then this one over. You can see I'm kind of just pressing it down a little bit. So each one is kind of made. And again, I'm really using the warmth of my hands a little bit to kind of shape them a little bit as well, to kind of get that shape. So, and then you can see, I don't think we have time for me to put this batch in the oven, but I made these earlier. And I just wanted to show you, for example, this, well, this one's made with a little bigger one, but this one, I didn't fold on top, but I like it nice. It looks nice and even there. And then this one, I made a little more effort to fold it on top because I wanted it to pop up a little bit more. So, but they're, you know, that's splitting hairs with Hamentashen, but they're both delicious. And my daughter's been waiting to eat one. You ready, Maya?
Yeah.
Now she gets one. I just
Debbie,
save it.
can I ask you a question?
Please.
What did you use to scoop out the ganache? What size scoop was that?
Oh, yes. So that's an interesting question. So it is, I'm going to see if Maya can read it. It is the smallest scoop that you can buy. So it is probably, I believe the scoops go by ounces. And it is definitely, it's like less than it's the smallest scoop you can buy. I ordered from Webstrons, and it was the very smallest one they had. So I feel like it was like 3/8. I can't see, I'm getting old. I can't see the exact size on there, but a really small one. If you have a bigger one, I sometimes will take, like if you already have one, don't have to buy a scoop for it. I use a bigger one and I just scoop a tiny bit out.
If I use a melon baller?
A melon baller would work perfect. And again, I'm gonna show you, I have these little mini spoons that I like, I use these in cooking classes for sampling. And so I brought these out, but this is just like a little tiny spoon. I'm sure everybody has something somewhat similar. And then I'm just rolling it into a ball. You are going to get a little chocolate on your hands and it does get a little sticky, but it's good. And if your hands start to get too sticky, you know, just keep a towel next to you. And then, because if it starts to get too much chocolate on your hands, then it just kind of gets too messy. But yeah.
Okay,
And then again,
thank you.
yes. Anybody else? Anything else? Everybody's good?
Is the ganache, we're just using it as a filling, as an addition, different filling?
Yeah, so we just added the ganache. I just wanted to make, you know, because it's, you know, we don't have a lot of time. So it was like the easiest filling to make. And it's actually, to be honest, my favorite, one of my very favorite fillings. And it's just something a little bit different. So yeah, we're just using that. And again, you saw we heated the cream, we added the chocolate, we took the cream off the stove, added the chocolate, let it rest, and then I put it in the refrigerator. I made half a batch earlier today, so it would be nice and refrigerated so I could show you how I use it as a filling. But actually, I'm being honest, you can like dip pretzels in it, you can frost a cake with it, like, and if you come to my house sometimes at 11 o'clock at night, I have 3 teenage daughters and everyone's driven me a little crazy that day, I'll take out a jar. I keep a jar of this a lot in my refrigerator. I keep a jar of it and I'll stick the jar in the microwave for literally 10 seconds and take a banana, and that's like my late night secret snack. But nothing's with 3 teenage daughters, nothing's too secretive around here, but it keeps beautifully. You can keep it for a week. I think some people say up to 2 weeks. It doesn't last that long in my house, but whatever you don't use, you can definitely use it for something. So and again, that's a nice thing to have in your repertoire. And again, if you're into fondue, you have like your family over or grandkids or people over, a small group of people, you can just go ahead and make the ganache, but don't cool it, and just keep it a little bit on a very low heat on your stovetop until you're ready to serve it. And it makes the best fondue ever. So
I have a question. What kind of mat do you use to roll out the dough on? I notice you have a mat.
Yeah, so this is like an imitation of a Silpat. It was less expensive. I think I got it at a restaurant supply store, but a lot of times I just didn't want to, show you guys to watch me clean up my counters. But a lot of times I just roll it right on my counter. So I do use it, but and I don't, for some reason, I don't bake on Silpats. I know everybody has different beliefs. I just, for some reason, I don't know, the cookie doesn't get that crunchiness on the bottom, but a lot of people like it anyway. So, but yeah, so I have it, but it's not necessary at all. So.
Thank you.
Yes. Anybody else? Any Hamentashen?
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. And this is probably silly, but this is my first time using my oven on convection. So I'm still gonna set it at the same temperature and cook it for the same amount of time?
Yeah, so what I would suggest is I am doing mine in convection. So I would turn it down. That is a great question. And I'm really big into convection. So I'm happy to talk about it, but I would turn it down 25 degrees. So mine's at 325 and that just, cause your convection just is a little bit, it's just a little bit hotter. So I always, when I'm following a recipe, I turn the convection down 25 degrees, and you still have to watch it because things will cook faster. So like your chocolate chip cookies, your other things, just if you're used to following the directions exactly, oh, those chocolate chip cookies cook in exactly 13 minutes, they may cook in 11 minutes. So, and I'm just recommending, like, since you're new to convection oven, is chocolate chip cookies are the perfect thing to try with convection. And go ahead and bake a couple chocolate chip cookies in your convection. If you have like a double oven, or set it first, if you have one oven, set it first to regular, bake the cookies, try a couple, and then bake a couple in convection. And that way you play around with it, see what it does, see what you like. Certain things we love in convection, like cookies, and certain things, other things, it's not like, it can dry things out, other things. So play around with it, but it's good.
Okay, one other quick question. If we have marble countertops, can we roll the dough out directly on our countertops?
Absolutely, yes. That's yeah. And you can do, marble is great, and like if you're a French pastry chef, that's what you're gonna roll your dough out. You're gonna roll it on a marble countertop, but you can roll it on Formica, any granite, any kind of countertop. You can totally, that is smooth, you can totally roll it right on there. And that's really, I recommend doing it. That's how I like to roll.
And would we put down flour before putting, like, flour on the countertop, then put the dough kind of deal?
Yeah, I would always use a little bit of flour, and then have something handy, and like don't like cut them all and then see if it comes up. Your dough might be a little softer that day. Your kitchen might be a little warm, or your countertops might feel warm. So go ahead and just roll it out, make sure that it, the first one, before you start shaping it, that it comes up, but it should come up. And again, when you're sprinkling with flour, you just want to go ahead and, sprinkle so you don't get big chunks of flour, and just sprinkle from up high.
Perfect. Thank you so very much.
Oh, no, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, hi, one more question, if you don't mind, Linda. I want to know about the chocolate. Does it matter if you put the chocolate into the pan, which I noticed you did, or the cream rather, into the chocolate? Would it matter?
It really doesn't. I mean, it's just the way I always do it. As long as you don't cook the chocolate, as long as you're not, you're adding warm cream. But yeah, you can totally go ahead, and you could have, if this was my bowl of chocolate, you could have added the cream to there. It's just let it sit. That's the trick, in just, again, 3 minutes is perfect. And then you get that nice glossy, and it just comes together beautiful. And then what sometimes happens, I have, of course, like when I'm doing a cooking class and showing off how you make it. And of course, one time I heated the cream too high and it separated, and it was just like a kind of not so good. So of course I was able to quickly make another batch, but yeah, you're better off if your cream is a little too cool, that's okay. Better to be a little bit on the cooler side than too hot.
Okay, and then put it in the fridge for a few minutes. How long?
Yeah, so today I made it and I put it in the fridge for, I think it was about 45 minutes until it set. You just want it to set. But again, it could take longer depending on where you put it in your fridge, but you just want it to, it should feel like Nutella feels a little bit softer, but kind of like Nutella. It should still be creamy, maybe like peanut butter. That's a great analogy. Should kind of feel like the consistency of peanut butter.
Okay, thank you.
And if it's a little soft, you can go ahead because it's gonna melt and then come back together anyways when it cools. So if you stick it in a pastry bag, if you're in a hurry, you can make it work.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
This is Donna. I don't know how I got this email a couple of weeks ago in preparation for today. How do I tell friends of mine to get on your email list so they will be able to watch in their house while I'm watching too?
So I can answer.
What do they go to?
So I will post a link to our website, which you can sign up to get emails from us. So I will post that link right now. Good question.
Thank you.
So you can use this link and you can send it to your friends so they could sign up to get emails from us as well. Do you have any other questions or comments?
Did that go to my email? I don't see the link.
It was sent in the chat.
I was wondering if the instructions are printed. I don't see them in my emails from you. So, and I've been making notes, but are the instructions printed? Meaning how to do it. I have the ingredient list, and I also have the chocolate ganache and the all the other things you need, but not the instructions.
Yeah, so the instructions will be posted on our cooking library, which I can also link in the chat. They will be posted within a week. I also believe we'll be sending them out tomorrow.
And then
Thank you.
I'm gonna add one shameless plug. If you want to go, I'm not super active on my blog, but I'm trying to always do better. But this is one recipe that's actually on the blog, and that's red. You can just go to redspoonbakery.com and you can go ahead and pull up this this recipe for Hamentashen. So the directions, it's all there for the Hamentashen. So I hope that's okay that I shared that.
Debbie?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I make one comment? I just finished them and they just came out of the oven and they smell and look amazing.
Oh, good. Can we see them? Can we spotlight on you? It's like makes me so happy to see people in their homes doing. Let's see.
And if you can see it, there you go.
Oh, they're beautiful. You did great.
Very nice.
Okay.
I'll pick one up so you can actually see it. I guess it's a little kind of hard to see it in that, but there's one.
Oh my gosh, they're perfect. They look like, where are you from?
San Diego.
Oh, okay, because they look like they came, I was gonna name a bakery, but I don't know any good bakeries there. But they look like they came from a bakery. They're beautiful, but that's amazing. I'm glad. I hope they taste as good as they, I'm sure you'll enjoy that.
Chocolate and berries. I mean, you can't beat that.
No, no.
Can you say your blog site again, please?
Sure. It's redspoonbakery.com. That's redspoonbakery as all one, no spaces.com. And I try to post, I'm not so great at it, but I try to post some good recipes that I'm making with some classes. But Hamentashen has been on there for a long time. So it's a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
The class.
Linda, those look great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's spotlight those.
Oh gosh, that's embarrassing.
Look great.
Some of them are eaten already.
Yes,
What did you use?
those are great. Yeah, listen, they're gonna taste good whether they stay together or not, but like you did it.
Yeah. Well, my daughter actually was helping at the same time. I'm in her house.
Well, that's good. That's fun.
Yeah,
They come
and my
together.
little grandson.
That's great. Beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Debbie, do you have an Instagram? I think you do, right?
Yes, I do. Yes. And yeah. And again, I'm not a big social media person, I'll admit it. But I try. But yeah, so I occasionally will post pictures of fun food art that we do as a family or just some different things. But you can always, and I'm always happy to, answer questions, or if you have a recipe for something and you just want my opinion on it or something, I'm always happy to, you can reach out to me. I'm always happy. I'm Debbie at redspoonbakery.com. Feel free to ask questions, show me pictures of your Hamentashen. I'm always happy to communicate. I always used to say, like, my kids are older now, so I'm not in carpool lines, but I loved sitting in carpool lines, and people would send me requests for what should I make for dinner tonight, or some different things. So I'm happy if you have anything, I'm happy to be available.
We have a question from Amy. Amy looked like she raised her hand. Oh, she said hers are spreading in the oven.
Okay. That's okay. So it happens. And it's, are they, you might, if you've made all of them, well, then they'll be delicious. If you can catch it, like today when I was working with mine and I had a couple spreaders, I actually just went ahead and opened the oven, and I was able to save them. But if not, they'll still be delicious. But it might just be that your dough was a little bit warmer. You might want to put them in the refrigerator next time. And the other thing is how you measure your flour, what kind of flour you were using. There could just be so many factors, but just play around with it, I'm sure. And I hope they taste good. Even if they spread everywhere, I'm sure they'll taste good.
I have my apple ones done.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see them or not. Wait, let me get my light on. I do have a light. And maybe we can see what they look like in some brightness here.
Oh, Cheryl, here, spotlight.
Whoops, there we go.
Those look great.
So
those are beautiful.
That's the one with the apple pie filling in them.
Love it. Love it. Those are gorgeous.
That's such a good idea with the apple pie filling. I've never thought of that before.
Well, I like usually putting in the poppy seed, and I didn't have any in the house. And because of the ice storm, I didn't want to go out and drive in it.
I don't blame you.
And I did have some preserves in the house, but I didn't really want to use them. But I had a thing of apple pie filling in the cupboard. So I looked up online and it said that you could put cinnamon and lemon juice in it. And I thought, what the heck? I'll try it. It worked.
Great idea.
And I'm going to piggyback off of that is something. When you're making Hamentashen, it's a great time to experiment. So you heard earlier, I love chocolate and bananas together. So sometimes I'll just take a little slice a banana and stick it in with some cinnamon sugar and put a couple chocolate chips in there. Like there's so many things that you can do. And then also, if you want to go savory, when I have a person that I work a lot with, Howard, and he made some with some kids, and he actually put brie, and he put a little piece of brie in there with a little bit of honey. And I thought that was like so you can kind of go a little savory. Definitely the dough is a sweet dough, but you can still mix sweet and savory, so you can experiment and try some new things. So that was a great idea. Thank you for sharing.
Do we have any other questions, comments, concerns?
Everybody's got the folding down. You guys are experts.
So while we're waiting, I thought I might plug some of our upcoming classes. So we have, let's see what we have. We have a fried chicken and biscuit class coming up on Friday. On Friday at 7 p.m. I just posted the link to the ticket in the chat if you're interested. We also have a Russian class coming up on Saturday, February 27th at 1 p.m., which is also just posted in the chat. We're making blinis, which are thin pancakes. Like if you've ever heard of crepes are thin French pancakes, and I think blinis are thin Russian pancakes. And then we have another event coming up for National Muffin Day. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but it's this Sunday at 4 p.m. We're doing a big baking party. We'll be baking 2 different types of muffins if you're interested. So there is the link in the chat. The links to the recordings will be on our cooking library, which will be up within a week. And they're also on our YouTube, which our channel is just named Tradition Kitchens. So you can look that up as well. How is everyone doing with their Hamentashen? Are they in the oven? Are they done? Amy, how are yours going? Any better?
They're still in the oven. I put it on convection bake. And so I'm waiting for them to brown up a little bit more. Maybe they were too thick. Maybe my butter was too warm.
Right. I mean, you can go over it a million times, but like it's a little something, but they'll taste delicious, and it happens.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You can't see them, but I don't know. Some of them look browner than others. I'm going to put the next batch in. I kept them in the refrigerator for a little bit. See if that helps.
That's probably a great idea. Or you can even, if you want a little faster, you can even stick it in your freezer, refrigerator.
So they're supposed to go for how much time?
So I would say, everybody's oven is different. I'm thinking the recipe, what does it say? 11 to 13 minutes. Am I correct?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but you really, that is your oven could run hot, your oven can run cold, so I would definitely keep an eye on them. I'm always one of those people, I set it for the minimum that it says in a recipe, and then I keep the light on in my oven, and I'm just checking it because I like it exactly how I like it.
So I also made a prune filling because my husband likes that. So we're trying that this time.
Oh, that sounds good. That sounds delicious.
With a little orange juice and orange zest in it.
Ooh, okay. So I make a date orange filling. So
similar, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm sure that sounds delicious. Great idea. You could even take a bit of orange zest and maybe zest over it would be good too.
Let me see the best cooking here, and I'll see if I can show it to you.
Oh yeah, I want to.
I didn't fold mine the same way, but they're close. Let's see.
Oh, they're great. Oh, beautiful.
Looks
Yeah.
so
Oh,
good. Uh-oh.
whoops. Whoops.
It's okay. A runaway Hamentashen.
It was a runaway. Yeah. Yeah. They're still a little, they need to be firmed up a little bit. But they're brown. So
Okay.
I'm going with it.
Yeah, and when it cools, it'll
Firm up a little too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going back on mute. Thanks. It's been a fun night.
Oh, thank you. It was fun making Hamentashen with you. Thank you.
Yeah, you too.
Well, I want to thank everyone for coming. I want to thank Debbie for teaching. I'm so jealous of everyone who is cooking right now. I wish I could cook as well, because I'm sure your kitchens all smell amazing. We are going to have to wrap up. It's getting a bit late, but thank you all for coming. And remember to sign up for our upcoming classes, like us on Facebook. Our Facebook page is just Tradition Kitchens. Debbie's page. Debbie, I'm not sure if you have a Facebook, but I know she has an Instagram. Visit her website to see more recipes. And thank you all.
Yes. Thank you guys. I hope everybody, learned something and enjoyed, but most of all, I hope everything tastes delicious, and wishing everybody a nice holiday, nice festive Purim.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Brianna, if we just sign up Tradition Kitchen,
Thank you.
will
Thank
that
you.
get us every class that's coming up?
Yeah, if you sign up for our email list, or if you follow us on Facebook, then you'll get an email about every class that is coming up.
And it's just traditionkitchen.com.
Tradition Kitchens.
Happy
Is it
Hamentashen.
traditionkitchen.com?
I'm posting the link right now. It's a little bit more complicated than that.
I'm on a new computer and I haven't figured it all out yet.
Thank you for an amazing night.
Thank you.
This was a ton of fun.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so very much. It was very enlightening. Bye.
Good. Thank you. Enjoy.
Thank you.
I'm just waiting for Julia to hang up the call.
Brianna.